Thanks very much for coming. I just want to clarify a few points that need clarification, I think. The media has twisted a few of the things that I've said, and I'd like to just sort of clear those up. First, in my press statement, which has been turned around a fair bit, I said I utterly oppose any form of violence within our community, and I totally condemn the actions of that gunman in New Zealand in Christchurch. I'll be very clear about that. What people took out of context, I think, was that in that same press release I said that countries that allow large-scale Muslim immigration invariably have escalations in crime, violence and terrorist attacks. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that's just a statement of fact, and for some reason that's upset a lot of people, including Mr. Morrison. He said my statements were disgusting. I see nothing disgusting about stating facts. In this country, as far as I'm concerned, we have freedom of speech, or we should have, and if I make a statement of fact, then I shouldn't be condemned for it. The thing is that Mr. Morrison himself is a bit hypocritical. His government is funding the Palestinian Authority. He's also funding the Pakistanis. These people, both these governments are supporting terrorism on a large scale. Pakistan sends their suicide bombers to India to kill innocent Indian civilians, and the Palestinian Authority use money for pay to slay, and they go into Israel and slaughter innocent civilians there. So it's a bit hypocritical calling me out, Mr. Morrison, and when your government is using taxpayers' money to fund those terrorist countries. So at the same time that this tragedy was occurring in New Zealand, there were people in Nigeria, 20 Christians, pretty much on the same day, were slaughtered by Muslim terrorists. In the last 30 days, there's been 122 terrorist attacks by Muslims on innocent Christians and other civilians in 21 different countries, killing 859 people. There's been deafening silence from Mr. Morrison and from the media on those points. Yet he's over there hugging Muslim leaders and commiserating, which is fine. That's what we should be doing. But what about thinking about the other people who are being slaughtered on an industrial scale? I think that that needs to be highlighted, and I'd like to see the press highlighting the fact that these things are happening on a daily basis. My comment regarding the countries that allow large-scale Muslim immigration suffering terrorist attacks, that's a fact. We only have to look at the United Kingdom, at France, Belgium, Germany. These countries are under attack the whole time by Muslim extremists. So what I'm saying is that we should be stopping Muslim immigration. It's not good for this country, and all we're going to do is go straight down the same road as those other countries. In the last 45 years, successive Australian governments have been bringing these people into our country, stuffing their electorates so they can get votes, and they've never given the Australian people a say in who comes to this country. I brought a bill into Parliament a couple of months ago that would give the Australian people a say in not only how many people come to this country, but who comes to this country. I think it's only fair that the Australian people have a say in who their neighbours are going to be. It's all okay for politicians who live behind their high fences and don't have to rub shoulders with these people, but the people in the street who are being attacked, like we see in Sydney and Melbourne and here in Brisbane to a certain extent, I think they need a say in who comes here. So the truck attack in Nice and the 9/11 and the Burke Street Massacre and the Charlie Hebdo and all the other attacks on innocent people, we can't just ignore that, and we can't expect that it's not going to happen more and more in this country as more and more of these people come in.
Senator, there's been real hurt and horror from what you said specifically about New Zealand, though. You said the real cause of bloodshed on New Zealand streets today was the immigration program. Do you have any empathy for the victims and their families from that shooting?
Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, and I condemned it. Totally condemned it, and I will continue. There's no place for that sort of violence in any civilised society. Unfortunately, that sort of violence is already here. Usually it's being perpetrated by the Muslims attacking the infidels or Christians. However, in this case,
in this particular case, can you see how those comments that could be called hateful speech?
I don't think it can be called hateful speech if I state a fact. That's not hate speech. You know, I mean, everyone likes to label everything hate speech, but stating a fact is not hate speech.
But you have to accept that this looks like victim shaming. It looks like you're shaming the victims.
Yeah, well, whatever it looks like, all I'm saying is that I'm stating a fact. When you bring lots and lots of Muslims into a country, violence escalates, terrorist attack escalate. That's a fact. That's a fact. I mean, there's 52 countries in this world that used to be Christian, Hindu or Buddhist. They are now Islamic states. And the only thing that's happening to the Christians, the Hindus and the Buddhists is they're being slaughtered by those people. I don't think the average Australian person wants that to happen in our country, and I think it's a really good time to try and highlight the fact that this is the road we're going down.
The shooter's not Muslim, though. He's not Muslim. He shot Muslims, so why are you saying that?
That's right. I'm just saying that the Muslim influence in the country escalates violence.
So what, did they deserve to be shot?
No, that's your words.
Well, they're not my words.
Of course I don't believe that they deserve to be shot.
Senator, why did you choose the same day, though, to issue the press statement?
Well, the press statement, I condemned the person, and I condemned the violence.
It was the same day that 50 people were killed. Was that...
Well, I condemned the violence. I condemned that. That was pretty clear in the press statement. I utterly condemned the violence against anyone.
In the statement, you used scripture down the bottom, but what about the premise of blessed are the peacemakers?
Say again?
You used scripture, particularly from Matthew, at the bottom of your press conference, but from the same book is blessed are the peacemakers.
Sure, and I would love to see peacemakers, but unfortunately this world's not like that, and right now the Muslim influence in this country and other countries, we're not seeing peacemakers, we're seeing violent criminals.
But isn't your statement antagonistic? Victim blame?
I wouldn't have thought so. If I state a fact, I can't see that that's antagonistic.
Why did you attend a gun show yesterday in Ipswich?
I'm a shooter.
Was that an appropriate thing to do?
Was that an appropriate time to?
Well, I'd already accepted an invitation to go to that gun show, so I was quite happy to go.
Able to politely decline that invitation.
Yeah, no, I was happy to go to that. Why would I want to decline that?
But given what has just happened, wasn't that an inflammatory thing to do?
People can be inflamed if they like. It's entirely up to them. I'm happy to go to the things that I accept, the invitations that I accept, and that was one of them.
But obviously the police had to be called out to protect you.
Well, the police were there, yeah, because I mean there were some crazy kids there who have been influenced by the left-wing media, and none of them probably read the press release. They just listen to what is said on the media, and then they react, and as they do with, you know, like the kids with climate change.
Didn't you once think maybe this isn't a smart thing to do? I should back away. And maybe just not go that
I don't usually back away from things that I'm happy to do.
More than 1 million Australians have signed a petition asking for you to be removed from Parliament. Are you feeling the heat now from the public?
No, everyone's entitled to their opinion. 1 million people from Australia, I'm not sure they're all from Australia, but yes, 1 million people have signed the petition. However, quite a lot of people have told us they're happy for me to stay where I'm at.
How many people have told you that?
Lots and lots.
So 1 million have signed, but how many have told you?
Oh.
Is there a number?
I have no idea what the number is. Quite a lot.
So if 99.9% of the majority of the population are saying they want you out, and you're saying some people are saying you should stay in.
I'll let them decide at the ballot box. You know, that's a fair place to do it. You know, if they don't want me there, then they're happy. They can vote me out if they like.
I'm just worried though that your comments are going to incite further incidents, polarising people, further attacks. Aren't you worried that there's some dog whistling that's going on here?
No, I think it's just highlighting the fact that when you have Muslim immigration, you have violence and you have crimes like this idiot's done the other day, and we don't need any of it, from either side. So I'd much prefer to live in a safe society and not have to walk through bollards to go up the street and have to look over my shoulder like the poor people in Burke Street did. You know, young Zachary Bryant, for instance, the 3-month-old who's dead now, and Talia Haken, a 10-year-old. They'd much prefer to have a peaceful society, as we all would.
Senator, there are children died in the shooting. There are families hurting. Women have lost their husbands, children their fathers. Can you here today say that you regret the way in which you worded those comments the timing of those?
I don't regret anything I do. You know, I stated some facts. It needs to be highlighted that this indiscriminate immigration policy that Mr Morrison's government has is not working, and I'd like the Australian people to have a say in who comes here, and I'm happy to go along with the umpire's decision.
Isn't it up to the government to determine migration policy?
Sorry?
Isn't it up to the government rather than citizens to determine migration policy?
No,
why should citizens?
Why not? Why shouldn't the citizens have a say? You know, we elect governments, but you know, they're for the people. Why can't the people have a say in who comes here? You know, it's this party politics is destroying our bloody country. You know, and you know, we vote these guys in, and then you get no more say. Wouldn't you like a say in who comes into this country?
What would be your stance if Australian citizens were given a say on migration policy and there was an increase in people migrating from Africa or Islamic countries? Would you then support what you've just said?
Well, if the people of Australia want it, I'm happy to go along with the umpire, as I said. So let the people of Australia have a say. Why is the Morrison government so scared of letting people? I brought a bill the other day into Parliament, and excuse me, that would have given the Australian people a say in it. So why didn't Mr Morrison allow the people to have a say in who comes here?
Is there a particular country, for example, where citizens can determine migration policy that you've, say, looked at as an example? Where it's
Switzerland is one. Switzerland has citizens-initiated referenda, and which is a great idea. We should have it here.
Have you read the Christchurch attackers' manifesto, and do you agree with the views expressed in it?
No, I don't agree with any lunatic views, you know, killers' views. I would never agree with any of those.
What are your thoughts on the parliamentary censure?
Pardon?
What are your thoughts on the parliamentary?
No, I hope it's not too painful. What's Mr Morrison going to give me a flogging with his lace hanky or something like that, is it? I'm not sure.
Senator, you've been accused of being a political parasite that feeds off hate and prejudice. What's your response to that?
People can have their opinion. As I said, you know, I'm happy for people to have their opinion, and if they don't like what I said, that's fine. Then they're able to vote me out at the next election.
Are you nervous about the Victorian police, the action they're still looking at in regards to the teenager that hit you with the egg?
You mean for defending myself? That's what Australians do usually. If you're attacked, you defend yourself.
You didn't think you went over the top?
Pardon?
You didn't think you went over the top there?
No, he got a slap across the face, which is what his mother should have given him long ago, you know, because he's been misbehaving badly. So, you know, when somebody cracks you in the back of the head, you react and defend yourself. First thought. And that, for years, is what Australians have been doing. Luckily, they did that in the trenches, and otherwise we'd be all speaking German now, probably.
So did your wife attend the event in Melbourne with you?
No, she was here in